Hey, what is going on guys? It's Tharshey and welcome back to another video on the channel. Today we're going to be having a look at a battle report between my anti-Witch King Galadriel and a Witch King. So yeah, hope you guys do enjoy this video, and if you do, please do drop a like, comment and subscribe to the channel, and don't forget to turn on those post notifications. Anyway, let's get straight into it. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to have a look at both the commander builds, the gear, the skills, all of that, as well as the troops before we get into the actual battle report. So yeah, let's go and hop straight into that. So if we have a look at my Galadriel, we can see that gear wise, I have given a fully strengthened and fully refined carver, which increases might, focus and attack of men and evil men. So I am running all knights on her, which are men units, so they do have some more attack. Though obviously Galadriel is a damage commander, not an army buff commander, so most of the damage is going to be coming from her. In terms of the skill on it, I have Smite, which gives a 35% chance of dealing an additional 104% focus damage, effect modified by focus stat, so that just helps me get some more damage going. For her chest piece, I have a Elven Cloak, which gives her focus, speed, and army HP. Army HP is nice because obviously it increases the amount of health that my units have. Fortitude of Elves allied units, damage received minus 1.5%, which doesn't help because I'm running no actual archers, so the archers are not there. I'm just running a full stack of knights. In terms of her helmet, this is pretty much the biggest, like the most important piece of equipment for my build, and that is the honor case, which gives might and plus 30 focus, and the skill is blinding barrier. So blinding barrier gives knights focus, burn and poison damage received minus 49.9%, and this is at 4-star refinement. Once I get it fully refined, it will be minus 60% damage. So that means any knights on her will receive 60% less focus, burn, and poison damage. In terms of her accessory, she has a worn-out smoking pipe, which gives plus 45 focus, and has sustain, which heals all allied units every 2 rounds by 38% HP. And the effect again is modified by her focus stat, which is great because she has a nice and high focus stat. So she has like 466 focus. Now let's go and have a look at her talents. So in terms of talents, we have Mistress of Magic maxed out, which gives her 45% more focus damage. We have Surge, which gives her 150% focus damage twice. Each time it's modified by the focus stat, and each attack chooses a separate unit. Finally, we have Focus Wrath. We only have 1 point in here because otherwise we won't have enough points for the rest of her build. So we have 1 point in Focus Wrath. So against one enemy target, deals 28.2% focus damage, effect modified by focus stat. So that's not really going to be much damage or anything, but the reason we do put 1 point in it is because it inflicts madness for 1 round. So every 3rd round, we can inflict madness on an enemy unit for 1 round, which is great. Next skill is White Council. All allied units minus 19% damage received on the first 3 instances of damage incurred, effect modified by focus. So they're going to end up receiving something like minus 25 or whatever % damage. And obviously this is great because it's maxed out, so it triggers 4 times, which is good, especially if the alchemists hit first, so that their first damage, is going to be severely reduced by White Council. And then we have High Alert. So allied units focus, burn, and poison damage received minus 50%. And now you see why, because at the start you saw the amount of units lost from both commanders. Now you see why I've lost so few knights in this battle, and that's because they're receiving 50% less burn damage from High Alert, and another 50% less burn damage from blinding barrier. So that's 100% less burn damage. And the first couple of hits, they're also getting less damage received because of White Council. The final skill is 15 points into Nenya's Guardian, which just increases Galadriel's focus by 30%. And it gives a plus 15 focus at max effect. Now let's have a look at the Witch King. So the Witch King is running a cutlass. So it's fully strengthened, only 2-star refined. It has Smite, which increases focus. It's 35% chance of dealing more focus damage. Not sure why it's running Smite on a Witch King. Maybe it just didn't get a better one, but we'll have to see. Next, we have a Superior Hauberk, which gives might and army defense, so that's fine. Melee Vigor is the skill. Finally, we have a Brutal Helmet, which gives might, speed, and unit HP to melee units. And both the Alchemist and these Corsairs are melee units, so they both get some more HP, and melee vigor on that as well, which reduces damage of melee units. Finally, he has the Drums of Moria, which gives might, focus, speed, and it gives attack to melee units. So yeah, so the equipment is going to be giving more attack as well as more HP and more defense to their melee units. In total, it's plus 5 attack, 3 from the cutlass, and another 2 from the Drums of Moria. So these alchemists will have a bunch more attack than they normally would. In terms of talents, he's got 2 points into Lord of the Nazgul, and then he's got 1 point into Enflame, which Commander normal attacks cause an additional 10.7% burn damage, and 1 point into Break Defenses, deals 37.1% physical damage and reduces the defense. I'm not sure why he's putting 5 points in here, unless he just didn't have them to put anywhere else, but I guess we'll see. Next, he's got Black Captain maxed out, which is Orc, Uruk-hai, Trolls, and Evil Men damage dealt plus 30%. So, and the races mentioned above also get plus 2 HP. So they get 30% more damage and 2 more HP. So that's a great skill. Convener, everyone's familiar with that. All allied units gain initiative and 75% chance to gain follow-up. Follow-up just means they can attack twice in the same round. We have Morgul Commander next. Orcs and Uruk-hai damage received minus 14%. Then we have Ring Wraith, 15 out of 15 against all enemies. Burn, poison, and focus damage received plus 30%. So all my guys will receive 30% more burn, poison, and focus damage, which is great because, and that is the reason why it's great that I have a blinding barrier as well as high alert, because that helps to counteract skills like this. Now next up we have Nazgul Screech. So this activates on round 1, and there's a 100% chance of inflicting stun. So it stuns both my units, but that's fine because Galadriel is the one doing damage, and it inflicts some focus damage. And once the stun effect ends, it inflicts focus damage after the stun effect ends, and the focus damage is modified by the focus stat. Next we have Morgul Poison against the enemy target each round. Normal attacks inflict 60% poison damage. It's continuous for 2 rounds and can stack twice. So those are the skills and the gear for both commanders. Now unit-wise, I am running a full army of knights. As you can see, they're mounted and they have full protection maxed out. They do not have elite skills because they are tier 2s. But because they are tier 2s, they do cost a lot less in terms of resources. Uruk-hai Ua has 4,000 Corsairs, and no elite skill there, but he does have a strategic maneuver. He has arson, though it's not maxed out, it's only 6 out of 10. So normal attack deals 92% burn damage. So if you had that higher, he would be dealing, I think, maybe 100% at max. And then he has Traveling Light, which damage stream from enemy ranged units, minus 12%, and 80% chance to evade the first 2 attacks. So the evasion helps. The damage from enemy ranged units is not going to do anything. His Corsairs, he does have Fires of Orthanc, but it's not maxed out. It is 7 out of 10. So normal attacks deal 255% burn damage. If that was maxed out, it would be doing 300% burn damage. I'm pretty sure, the normal attacks. And then he has light armor. So damage received from enemy melee units minus 12%. So we can already see that, first of all, his Witch King is 2 levels higher. The gear seems fine, skills is whatever. But he doesn't have a lot of these skills maxed out. Which, it's not a big difference, but it is a difference. Like, he is losing out about 45% burn damage here, which, would be able to, counteract some of the damage reduction that I have on. So he doesn't have Fires of Orthanc maxed out, and on his Corsairs, he does not have Arson maxed out. Let's have a look at the overview. So the battle overview, in total, I lost, in total, wounded and dead, I have 1,000, and those are all knights, which are tier 2 units. So obviously, if you look at the conscription cost per command, it's going to be a lot less than if I was using, tier 3s or the tier 3s that he is using. So command damage, I had 117,000. Soldier damage, 53,000. I took 100,000 damage and I healed 15,000 damage. That's all from the sustained pipe. Now the Witch King, lost and wounded, he took just over 5,000 casualties. Commander damage, he only did 30,000. Soldier damage, he only did 90,000, and that's where he's meant to be getting all that damage from those alchemists and those Corsairs. In total, he took 185,000 damage from me. Now, normally we take very long going through, this battle report slowly, but line by line, but we're not going to be doing that this time. We're going to be just going through it very quickly, summarizing, and yeah. So I'm not going to go over preparations because we've already spoken about all the skills and we've already looked at all the equipment skills. So you guys already know what's, what is being activated, like Ring Wraith, Black Captain, Convener, etc. But now let's head into round 1. So round 1, right? And this is, the first 2 rounds are the most important fights, the most important rounds of this fight because of, the way the Witch King works with Convener. So Corsair attacks, Galadriel White Council gives Knight minus 38.3% damage received. So White Council is meant to do minus 19%. Because it's modified by focus stat, it goes up to minus 38.3% damage received. And Knight suffered 1,264 burn damage and lost 15 units. So my Knights only suffered 1,200 burn damage rather than like 30,000 burn damage, which is what would normally happen. It did. By the way, the Corsair was not affected by Convener, so they only attacked once. Alchemist was granted follow-up by Witch King's Convener, so they have double attacks. The Galadriel's White Council continues to affect Knight. Knight receives about 3,000 burn damage and lost 34 units. Alchemist attacks again. Knights receive about 2,300 burn damage and lose 28 units. Witch King attacks, but that's negligible, so we're not going to bother. We're going to skip the rest. Inflame does literally nothing. Knights are stunned, so they can't attack. Galadriel activates Sustain. They heal by my Knights by about 3,300 HP and recovers 39 units. So that's like, what, maybe half? Not half, but like a third of the damage that was dealt this round. It's been healed. Does Galadriel actually get to attack? I don't think so. She just... Oh, no, she does. Okay. Galadriel attacks, but the Corsairs were granted avoidance and avoids all attacks. Smite. Yeah, Smite. Anyway, Corsair avoids all attacks. For first round, I don't get any damage out. All my damage was negated by evasion and or stun. Now round 2. So now Corsair attacks again. This time they have follow-up. And they're going to do a lot more damage now because... Obviously, it's the first 4 attacks have already come in, so I'm pretty sure my Knights are no longer going to be affected by White Council like they were in the first round. So White Council was their first round, which helped them negate more damage. This time we're not going to have that. So Corsair attacks, Knights receive 4,200 burn damage and lose 50 units. Corsair attacks again, deal another 3,500 damage and lose 40 units. Then the Alchemist attacks, they are affected by follow-up, so they do have dual blows, and Alchemist deals 6,000 damage on the first hit, 4,000 damage on the second hit. That is 10,000 damage. Witch King activates break defenses. Okay, that's not really going to do anything. We can pretty much skip the rest of the report until we get to myself. So Knights attack, they deal 9,000 physical damage to the Corsairs. And then Galadriel attacks, and she does 3,000 focus damage. She launches Smite, which does an additional 3,500 damage. So Galadriel does about 6,000 damage this round. My Knights do about 8,500. So round 3 begins, and now the Witch King's troops are no longer going to be getting follow-up, so there's not going to be any double attacks anymore. So my units are going to be affected by blinding barrier and high alert, so they are going to be taking a lot less damage from all the enemy burn damage that is incoming. So Knights attack first because the enemy units are no longer affected by initiative. So they get 8,000 damage off on their Corsairs. The Corsair attacks does 4,000 burn damage. Galadriel activates her Surge ability. So that is 12 and, basically 13,000 damage to Alchemist twice. And they lose about just over, I think, 800 units. Well, just under 800 units in total. Focus Rod activates. Corsair do avoid the attacks. However, they are affected by Madness. Galadriel activates Sustain, heals my Knights by 3,000 HP. Smite does not activate. Alchemist attack, but they only do 4,000 damage to the Knights. Round 4 begins. So round 4, we're going to skip this part. We're going to go straight to the Knights attack, which is 5,000 damage. Corsairs attack, but because they are beset with Madness, they're going to attack their own friends. So the Corsairs attack the Alchemist and deal 15,000 burn damage. So the Alchemists take 15,000 burn damage from their own allies. Galadriel then attacks and deals an extra 3,200 focus damage. Smite doesn't, Corsair just avoids the Smite attack. Alchemists do attack and deal 5,000 burn damage. Now round 5, Witch King, okay, we can skip that. Now my Knights attack and deal about 5,000 damage. Corsairs attack and deal about 3,500 damage. Galadriel heals 3,000 damage via Sustain. Galadriel attacks, Corsairs do avoid the attack. Smite does not affect the Corsairs, and Alchemists deal 3,000 burn damage. Obviously, there's a lot less of them, so they are going to be dealing, less damage. Round 6 begins. We can skip this beginning part because this is just the Witch King attacking, launching his abilities, which is not really doing much of anything. Like his normal attack kind of does some damage, but it's fine. My Knights attack the Corsairs and deal 8,000 damage. Corsairs attack and do 2,500 damage. Galadriel activates Surge again. So Surge is doing just about 25,000 damage to both the Corsairs and the Alchemists, making them lose about just over 700 units. So that's great. Galadriel activates Focus Wrath, which actually still does 4,000 damage to Corsairs even with 1 point into them. And the Corsairs lose 100 units, and they are affected by Madness again, which is great. Galadriel does a normal attack, which does 3,000 focus damage. Smite doesn't activate. Alchemist do 3,500 burn damage. Round 7 begins. We can skip all this. My Knights do 4,500 damage. Galadriel activates Sustain and heals 3,000 health. Galadriel attacks. Wait, actually, where's the Corsairs? Ah, there we go. Corsairs suffer from Madness, but they are resisting. Okay, so they still get off 2,500 damage on my Knights. Galadriel attacks does about... Oh, Smite also activates, so in total, she gets about 6,000 damage out. Alchemists do about 3,500 damage. Round 8, we can skip all the way to the Knights. The Knight attack does about 5,500 damage. Corsairs do about 2,500. Galadriel does about 3,000. And Alchemists do about 2,500. So because of the Blinding Barrier and High Alert, I'm only taking 5k damage from 2 units and the total burn damage that they're outputting. Anyway, round 9, we can skip that. My Knights do about 4,600 damage. The Corsairs do 3,500 damage in their hit. Galadriel Surge activates and does just about just under 25,000 damage to both the Alchemists and the Corsairs. She activates Focus Wrath, which does another 4k damage and affects Corsairs with Madness. The Sustain heals my Knights by about 3,000 HP. Galadriel's normal attack activates, does about 3,000 damage, and Alchemists get out 2,500 damage on my Knights. Round 10 is the final round, so we're going to go over to the Knight attack, which does nearly 5,000 damage on the Alchemists. Corsairs suffer from Madness, but they are resisting again, and they get off 3,000 damage on my Knights. Galadriel gets off just under 6,000 damage on the Alchemists, and the Alchemists do a final hit of 1,200 damage to my Knights. So from this, we can see that they were just, because of all the damage reduction I had, I was able to pretty much survive the early hits and then, whittle them down throughout the next 8 rounds. So if we have a look, I've only lost, well, actually, let's go look at Allied. Yeah, I lost, 400 of my Knights were wounded, 600 were killed, but that's it. In the enemies, well, they have 1,500 Alchemists wounded. They have nearly 2,000 Alchemists dead. And they've got about 750 Corsairs wounded and nearly 1,000 Corsairs dead. So, yeah, that is the battle report. It turned out pretty great for me. It was a draw, obviously, but the Witch King did lose half their army. And then I just finished it off with my AoE on the next hit. So that finished off whatever was left of that Witch King. But I hope you guys did enjoy this video. This was a much quicker format compared to if you check one of my last duel videos, which was between some Aragorns and Aragorn King of Men and stuff. So if you prefer this much quicker, battle analysis video, let me know down below in the video description. If you prefer me going line by line, including absolutely everything that happened, let me know that down below in the video description, and we'll go back to that format of video in the next one. Anyway, I'll see you guys in the next video.